So when you go through a process like this and you evaluate a ton of players, there's always going to be some that you just feel like are a lot better than the average consensus feels. And that was the case for me with Cam Smith, who gets selected here with pick number 50. He was 37 on the consensus big board, so it's still a bit of a fall even from that perspective. But he is someone who I really liked a lot as a player. I had a first round grade on him, a pretty high first round grade on him, as in like I had him around the middle of the first round going, just in terms of how I value him. He falls a pretty decent way, and so I'm a huge fan of this selection. I think this was a great pick by the Miami Dolphins. And listen, do the Dolphins need a corner? That's kind of a trick question because every team needs a corner. But no, the Dolphins don't need a corner, right? I mean, you always could use a corner. It's like in baseball. They say, if you have enough pitching, go out and get some more pitching. Well, without a doubt, if you have enough corners, go out and get some more corners because they're just fluky. Even Jalen Ramsey, who they just added, who we all expect to be awesome, he's had some bad years over the course of his career. It doesn't always work as like, just definitive player is great every single year. Look at Xavier Howard. These past couple years hasn't been as good as he was recently. So while having Vic Fangio, you expect them to, with Kader Kohou as kind of your third corner, to be a fine option. Listen, you probably need more than 3 corners. Like, he's going to get some playing time regardless. I don't know how many snaps, but even in a perfect world, you're still probably looking at 400, 500 snaps out of Cam Smith. So spending pick number 50 on that, even if you're not a crazy Cam Smith fan like I am, there's still plenty to like about this selection, and I'm personally just a big fan of this pick, and that's kind of why I'm going to defend it a pretty good amount. Again, not that there's many people criticizing it. I think most people are going to consider it to be a bit of a steal. Now, I guess here's the knock on Cam Smith, and again, we'll get into it in a bit, is that he kind of had the, and again, I'm going to get into all the stuff and get to the film in just a second. But the biggest knock on him, and I'm assuming why he fell, is I think people are paying too much attention to his 2022 tape. Now, you might be sitting here and saying, yeah, that was last year. Shouldn't that be the tape we pay the most attention to? Yes and no. For other positions, yes. For other positions, absolutely. What did you do last year? That's what I'm going to pay most attention to. But for corner, it's a little bit different because it is such a fluky position, because you can have high highs and low lows year in and year out, or even game in and game out, play in and play out. A lot of times for a corner, a lot of their, how they play comes down to who they go up against. What kind of, receiver are you going up against? What situation are you in? It's such a fluky and volatile position. And that's why, for me personally, I'm okay with kind of having some fluctuation there. So those are kind of my thoughts. But yeah, let's get into the film and talk about why I'm such a fan of Cam Smith. So first, let's look at his Pro Football Focus page. You see, okay, not the best season last year in 2022. Very good year in 2021, but I would have to just, for a reminder, because I think it's important, is that PFF grades do not do a great job at translating to the next level when it comes to the cornerback position. For other positions, it matters. For cornerback position, not so much. And that's why I wouldn't be too scared by this, but still, I think you might want to see an explanation for, okay, why was the 2022 tape not so great? But at the same time, I'm going to mostly be showing 2021 tape in this video just because I do think that gives a better example of what he can do well. Because again, corners, it's just one of those positions where they have good years and bad years. And so for me, when I'm evaluating a player, what's more important for me is if they've had a good year than if they've been consistently solid. I'd rather the guy who has had one great year, one bad year, than a guy who has had 2 okay years. But anyways, let's get into the film. Let's talk about what he can do really well. Where like something like this, it's a one-on-one matchup, and you're going to see, I think, really good stuff here from him. Watch how, they fake as though it's a run. That certainly is part of the route, but he's able to, again, not give up anything and make sure that there is no separation. Now, the ball went somewhere else. It was a touchdown. I'm not saying this is the highest degree of difficulty route to cover or anything like that, but I really thought that there was a good consistency with how he covered on these types of plays. Like this one's going to be another one where, again, it's going to be a really good job, I would say, of just not giving up any separation, where it's going to be a play action again, but this time, this is a route that definitely the quarterback, if he has time, which he won't on display, but if he had time, he would look to throw to. But look at how, once again, Cam Smith is able to completely shut down the receiver who he's covering. I mean, this is what he's able to do very well. Now, you could argue he doesn't have the elite athleticism, but still, and that definitely is a true thing, but still, at the same time, he ran a 4.43. That's pretty good, and is 6'1", so has the size and has the speed. Those are the main things I care about, and he definitely, in terms of traits, and he definitely has both of those. I also think he's a smart player. Like, something like this is a great example of what he can do that's just smart, where it's going to be a zone coverage play, and you see this zone that he's supposed to cover, the one in white right there. That's where what his job is. That's where he's supposed to cover. The offense is going to have a receiver run that route right there, which will hopefully get the player who's covering kind of underneath in that zone to move further towards the middle of the field, so that another player can run over there and just kind of get open underneath Cam Smith's zone that he's covering. That's the way this play is designed to work. Watch how when this play begins, you see that right here, it's worked. There is a little bubble, and this is definitely open a little bit. As you see, Smith is able to break in. He makes, not a tackle, but forces the receiver out of bounds, so essentially does make the tackle, and a good play by him to read the play effectively, understand where he could get beat in that type of coverage, what concepts could be the ones that could beat him, and then being able to hold his own and not allow it to be a disaster, which I would say was very good. Finally, one last play, something like this, where again, you're going to see where he is on the field. He is in a one-on-one matchup once again, and watch what happens. Right when this play begins, you see how Cam Smith definitely turns, and he is covering, keeping his eyes towards the quarterback, which is what he's supposed to do here. This is a cover 3 zone. He's supposed to keep his eyes towards the quarterback, which means that he is susceptible to getting beat if the receiver cuts back in, but I think he does a pretty good job here on this play. Watch him turn back and make sure that he does cover that receiver, and he also gives up a catch, which, listen, it was a really good cut by that receiver, and it was a good throw, but I thought that Cam Smith did a relatively good job of hanging with him for the most part. So while I think you can beat him with really good cuts, I think that is the way to beat him. It's not going to be super easy necessarily. So there is a weakness. Listen, find me a corner in this draft who doesn't have a weakness, right? Find me a player in general who doesn't have a weakness. Every player has their weaknesses, but he has a lot of strengths as well. I think it's just, a lot of good stuff with Cam Smith. So definitely someone who I think I'm interested by, and there's definitely a good, there's good value in what Cam Smith can bring to the table. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on him and on this pick. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Cam Smith? What are your thoughts on this pick? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.